Okay, well, wrapping up this episode, Case, let's do a brief segment in Fantasy Corner. We'll talk about how our weeks went in fantasy hockey last year, or last week rather, in our Boys in the Booth Fantasy Hockey League. 20-team league, by the way. Very, very deep. And then maybe we can add a tidbit or two to try to help other fantasy hockey players improve their team this coming week. I know I've got one. So we'll go to you first, and we'll talk about your fantasy hockey experience last week.
Well, I've started the season 2-0. I'm third in the league based off points for. I beat Luke Sheridan 187.95 to 150.75. It was an absolute slaughtering. My team maybe overperformed, and a big culprit of that was Sam Reinhart, who got me 30.25 points. A last-second empty net goal helped that out against Toronto. Hughes was also excellent for me. Dunn, Pasternak, kind of the guys I expected, but Sam Reinhart was the real beast. A tip this week is the New Jersey Devils play 4 games this week. They've already started one, so I guess if you're looking to pick someone up, you can get 3 games out of a Devils player.
There you go. My tip was also games play related, because we know that games played are king right now. So along with New Jersey, the teams who play 4 times are the Washington Capitals, who we talked about, who could be expected to bounce back depending on what you think of their offense. They have a lot of weapons, and there are a lot of players on that team who are available in a lot of leagues. TJ Oshie, we mentioned, hasn't done anything offensively, but is expected to. Tom Wilson might be unowned in some leagues as well, so there you go. So Washington, New Jersey, like you mentioned. San Jose is another team. Montreal, Minnesota Wild, and the Buffalo Sabres all play 4 times. Now, you're listening to this probably on Wednesday, so the teams who play 3 times as of then, so you can get 3 games out of them. You can get San Jose, Montreal, and Minnesota. And I guess if you pick up a player on the Wednesday when you're listening to this, you can also get Washington and New Jersey. So
yeah. And I just got screwed in fantasy because the announcement that Aho will play tonight has come out after he started. So thanks, Sportsnet, for that.
That's
notification. Tough. So Aho will sit on my bench, but I mean, Chandler Stevenson and Reinhart at center right now. So
yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
that final goal for Reinhart, honestly, Case, that's what I was thinking about. The goal against the Leafs with like a second left. I was like, man, what is even the point of that? Like, teams, like the team defending obviously doesn't care that it goes in, right? But then you start thinking with your fantasy brain, and it's like, well, someone just benefited from that.
How about the money bet on games, like hitting the over, or Reinhardt scoring?
That's really true. Or even, there you go. Or getting a point. Like the guy who assisted that, like secondary assist or something, getting a point, like could make or break a parlay. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's kind of crazy. But going back to my fantasy week last week, I beat Captain Nico, which is LVB, 176 to 132. LVB completely underperformed. He was projected for 173, and I underperformed by a little bit. I was projected for 188. So I thought it was going to be a lot closer and come down to the wire, but at about Friday, I think I was pretty confident that I was going to win. So I'm 1-1 on the season, sitting in 7th place, second among the teams who are also 1-1 in terms of total points for. So not in a bad spot, but like I was saying to you earlier, Case, this year I've kind of realized that my team isn't as strong, obviously, as it was last year, because I sold, or I bought rather at the deadline, so I traded away a bunch of my high picks and wasn't able to draft as well. So I'm kind of just doing my best to make the playoffs and then hoping to see if something good happens from there. To wrap up Fantasy Corner, 2 quick trades to talk about and I guess announce, and then have a brief conversation about. What'd you make of my trade today? Josh Norris 1-for-1 for Morgan Riley.
I think he kind of got away with one there because defense are at a premium in our league, and it's hard to get anyone, let alone Morgan Riley, who's typically a fantasy horse. So Josh Norris is obviously gonna work out in fantasy, but defense have a high price tag, and you got him for, I would say, a low cost.
Yeah, I didn't want to give up Norris. I wanted to give up someone else because Norris has played 2 games and I think he's averaging like 8.5 fantasy points per game or something. The dude's electric, but my D were just pretty thin, so I had to do it. I had to pull the trigger. And believe me, I offered some way worse proposals, not including Norris, and so I had to bite the bullet there. And then the other deal. Did you see the other deal between Kuznetsov's third line and Noah Gretzky's?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kuznetsov's third line receives Keller, a 5th and a 9th, in exchange for Jason Robertson, a 3rd and a 6th. What were your thoughts on that?
At face value, I was like, is Kuznetsov's third line smoking crack or something? I think Jason Robertson is such a huge fantasy player. He's gotten off to a slow start, but like his team's been great, so he's going to catch up, and it's just a matter of time. Clayton Keller, obviously also a good fantasy player just in the amount of points he's going to score, but doesn't really contribute in the hits and blocks and everything like that in the way that maybe a Jason Robertson will, plus Jason Robertson 50 goal potential. But I guess behind the scenes, it's kind of to do with keepers. Next year, Robertson isn't a keeper and Keller is like a 5th round keeper or something like that. So that's one of the reasons. But I still think that, if Noah Gretzky, who is looking to win this year, then I think that his team is really benefit. And Noah Gretzky, Kuznetsov's third line, who won the league last year, I guess maybe he's not worried about this year as much, even, though he's doing quite good with a team that bought at the deadline.
Yeah, like it's confusing to me because I'm not exactly sure which direction Jacob is going with his team, whether he wants to contend again or if he wants to sort of retool on the fly. This deal makes it look like he wants to retool on the fly, but I have some insider information from Nate, who said that Kuznetsov sent him a trade. The same thing, basically, like Jason Robertson and Anze Kopitar and Lucas Raymond going to Nate in exchange for Matthew Tkachuk and Steven Stamkos, which clearly, like, that's the value isn't there at all.
No.
But the ideas of the two trades are totally different. The objectives are totally different. So that's why I was a bit confused on the direction where he wants to go, but I mean,
is that a metaphorical coin flip for the direction of his season?
It could be. It could very well be.